Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. This video is just a little bit different. There's the rock pile, and here is me walking into the rock pile. I wanted to show you guys kind of what my process is of like putting in the different rocks, the little tiny rocks between the big rocks, and just kind of how I go about it. So I usually will bring a car out with me just because I love driving my cars. And I've been doing yard work today all day out in some neighbor's yard and some in mine. And I usually will always blow the rocks off with the backpack blower before I come out here. And that way, most of the pine straw is kind of cleared up. I have a decently clean area to work in. Sometimes I'll lay a piece of cardboard down on these rocks so I can just kind of like kneel down and, or just kind of like hip down, lay down in those rocks and work, just depending on how I'm feeling about it and whatnot. So like I said, this video might run a little long, and I did speed up some sections. I got a little rock pile off out of view there, and I go get a colander full of rocks. And yeah, then I'll just sit down here and get to work. A little camera change. And this is all sped up. I found some glass. There's this, lots of trash got buried in this yard back in the day. So I'm always getting glass and other debris. Whenever I blow off and move some pine straw, there's always something under there. So this is all sped up, obviously, and this is how I do it. I just grab rocks and I start laying them in between. These other rocks, there's no order or design. I just unloaded my trunk one day right into this spot, and all these rocks are just kind of where I threw them from the other side of that little pile behind me. And then I grab all these little ones and I just go in there. The soil is mainly old duff and sand, so it's literally impossible to drive these little trucks in and get any traction unless it has just rained. And I'm not gonna water the course every time I want to come out here and play. So I set these little rocks in there. This is like railroad riprap. This is the stuff that comes right off the side of out of the railroad tracks. So it's easily, you can find it all over the country. And then the bigger rock is just I don't know if they call that a 6-inch minus or whatever. I think the stuff I'm pulling out of the colander is considered a 3-inch minus. But this is basically what I do to get my course the way it is. I just, sometimes I'll really think about how I'm laying the rock so it looks like a pretty pattern, or not pretty, but an interesting pattern, if I wanted to all go vertically or horizontally or in a spiral or whatever. I've done some different things in different areas because it's just, you have the space, you're just sitting there moving rocks around. And, like I said, all this stuff of me working is sped up. I don't actually move this fast. This is all just, as I was editing this, I realized it was going to play too long if I left these full length. I could have edited some of it out. I could show you 10 seconds of this and you'd get the idea. But I think you really see what I'm doing here. And then what I do after this, and I don't show it on video, but I have some really, really fine white sand that I got from a golf course. I have a few big buckets full of it, and I'll just grab, I have a McDonald's cup, I think, in one of the buckets, and I grab a cup full and I'll sprinkle it all over these little rocks. And it lays right down in there over the top of the brown dirt and really creates a nice look. And when it rains, it just kind of settles in. And yeah, so this is, like I said, this is my process. Just, you pick a couple pines. You don't want to bury the pine straw under the rocks because then it just kind of pulls up and moves the rocks. You want it all to be, consistent. The ground, you're down to the dirt, and that's where you want it to be. And yeah, there was a section right back there where I had a handful and I just dropped them into that big crevice. And sometimes that's what I do. When I first started, I used to just grab colanders full and just dump it, and then I'd clean out all the excess and leave the others. But I found that kind of pressing them down into the dirt, I get a better idea of what rock I want where. And they end up they stay there. They're not going to be moving. you know, if you walk on it, they move a little bit, but it's all just really compacted well. And then, you know, you drive the truck on it and see if it works. If I need to move that rock or this, you know, like right there, you're like, well, that's not your line. So, you know, I test it, you know, play a little bit while you work a little bit, and it makes the day go by. So, and this again is the Maz Designs titanium chassis with a JLU body and just regular standard axles. It's got a +4 millimeter hex kit on it, running a brass front diff and a Coda Racing, those gunmetal gray ones in the rear, the diff cover. This rig doesn't even have knuckles on it. I have knuckles for it, but I don't know if it needs it. Works pretty good the way it is. And yeah, it's on those 42 millimeter Chiracs with some Maz Designs rings in there. I think I have not the Method Man. I think they are the the KOH rings on that rig. If Maz sees it, maybe he can comment, tell us what's up, what's what. But anyway, you see how I'm just kind of stacking them in there. I just find a rock, you know, you feel them in your hand as you picking them up, and I try to put the good traction rocks, you know, in the right spot. And if I have, you know, I move a big rock around and kind of press them into the dirt a little bit and get them where you want them. And I think I'm going to get rid of that really flat one that I just touched. It's just going to go somewhere else, and I'll move some of these more, these other ones with a lot more character in them into that spot. And you can see what I'm doing here, you know, like where there's a big climb up, I'll try to use a bigger rock. And, you know, where it's a kind of flat ground, I use a nice flat rock. And see, I'll set that big one to the side because I know I'm going to need it in a minute. And like that rock I'm working behind right there, that's a pretty big, you know, that's 6 inches of a crevice right there. And I might move that one, you know, I might move a couple of these around later, but we just got to get a rough idea of what's really happening here. And yeah, it's super cathartic and really relaxing to be out there. The dog's just off somewhere in the grass, just chilling. Like I said, I was doing yard work all day. And so he's out with me now, just hanging out. And yeah, I moved that big rock into it won't stay in that crevice, but I just kind of set it there knowing that I wanted to change it. But yeah, just laying these in here, you know, some people say, oh, well, they're nowhere in the world. Yeah, there's no rocks everywhere. Well, yeah, go to the Rubicon. Tell me there's not rocks everywhere. There's like a 1/4 mile of dirt if you come from the Loon Lake side, and that's it for 6 miles of trail. So there's plenty of areas where it's just rock, and it's fun. This is my course. It's a RC car, people. So, and what's great about it is there's right there in front of me, in front of that Jeep, there's 15 different lines, right? And good times. You can set gates on each one 5 different days in a row. You can come out here every day of the week and run a different course every single day. And, you know, so you just go out and test it and have fun and move it around if you want. Next year I'm going to try to do more depth. I want to build up some little hills, so to speak. Kind of like what Tex has done, but I don't know if I'm going to use the cement style. I think I'm just going to use dirt under and then put rock on top of that. And once again, you know, I'm in here just testing it out. Obviously, that's a huge gap. You know, so that needs to be worked on some way. I know I'm stuck in there, and I just don't want to break. You know, I put another new axle in that Jeep and literally broke it within like 5 minutes. So I'm just going to have to get rid of those portals or something with junk. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do with that, but I'll do something. And like I said, you know, just tooling around. It was getting kind of late, and wanted to get this edited and put out for the evening. So yeah, great times, having a ton of fun doing this. And thanks everybody for coming along for the ride. Like, comment, subscribe, share it. Like I like to say, build a truck, get a truck, build a truck, go have some fun. And if this isn't your gig, but you're watching anyway because you're just living vicariously through me, well, hey, I love it. Like I'm having a great time. I'm almost at 300 subscribers. I can't believe it. Getting to 100 seemed like a chore, and now, bam, the second 100 just flies by. And I know some of you only subscribe for a couple days and then you bounce, but it doesn't bother me a bit. Having fun. Cardboard crawlers. Out.